Hi guys, today we're going to make this card, this birthday card, using the stamp set Crazy for Cupcakes by Stampin' Up. This is a retired set. It retired in spring of 2012. And we're also going to be using a technique that uses our blender pens. First, to start our card base is a piece of 5.5 by 8.5 cardstock in Baja Breeze, and I've scored it at 4 1/4 to make an A2 sized card. I've used our scallop border punch to create a scalloped edge on this patterned piece of paper. This is from the Just Add Cake Designer Series paper pack, which is also retired. This is going to go along the top edge of our card. Okay, I'm going to set that aside now. Using the Cupcake Tower image from the Create a Cupcake stamp set, I'm going to stamp that on a piece of Whisper White cardstock that measures 2 by 3 using some Stays On ink. This ink will allow us to be able to color the image without having our black ink bleed into our colored area. Then to color, I'm going to use So Saffron ink and Baja Breeze ink from Stampin' Up. I'm going to form an inkwell on the lid of our stamp pad by just popping it open, squishing the top and bottom together, and then flipping it open, and right here is my ink on the lid of my stamp pad. Next, I'll be able to use my blender pen, just like I would a paintbrush, to color in parts of this image. And this gives it sort of a watercolor effect. When my ink starts to fade on my pen, I just go back to my little ink well in the lid of my stamp container, or my ink container, and continue to color. Now when I'm done with that color, I just scribble off on a scratch piece of paper, and my marker's ready to go for my next color. I'm not being too precise with how I'm coloring this because, again, I want that watercolor look. Now to color in this base part of my cake stand, I'm going to be using some basic gray ink from Stampin' Up, again creating that inkwell on the lid of my container. And using my blender pen, making sure that I've cleaned off the end, I'm going to dip into my inkwell. And then I'm just going to color some of it off because I know that I don't want this too dark on here. Okay, so it's a quick, easy technique to add some color using your stamp pads without having to use all of the markers. The last coloring I'm going to be doing is using our Calypso Coral just for the cherry on the top of the cupcake. Again, I can use my my ink pad and my blender pen, but I just wanted a little bit more pop of color using my marker, which will show up a little bit darker. Okay, next I'm going to mount this onto a piece of wild wasabi cardstock measured at 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. And center that on there. Okay, and then I have a piece of So Saffron 5/8 inch grosgrain ribbon. Unfortunately, this is also retired. I'm going to tie it in a knot just once. Okay, and try to center that knot on there. I don't want to pull too tight because I still want that flat knotted bow look. And then I'm going to just place that on top of my image, flip it over, and using a piece of clear Scotch tape, I'm just going to tape the ribbon ends on the back of that piece of cardstock. This won't show because it will be mounted flat to the card. Next, I'm going to use my adhesive and just run some adhesive along the edges and center that in the middle of my card. If you wanted to, you could add a sentiment on it, but I chose to leave it blank and have my sentiment be on the inside. Alright, thanks for watching.